Chapter 4, Focusing on Outcomes, Not Outputs. Setting the brand media strategy communication goals.
Advertising's fundamental role is to create a marketing return on investment, or ROI. The purpose of this chapter is to learn how to achieve that goal from the outset. A clearly articulated, inspiring, and measurable communication goal is the cornerstone of a successful brand media strategy. For this reason, Young states this may be the most important chapter in the book. Many advertising companies get hung up on how the plan is executed or what the post-campaign metrics look like. But this is an error because they should be focusing on how to arrive at this goal from the beginning. We must modify this thinking to drive the effort rather than merely justifying the activity. Young quotes the two main reasons campaigns fail to create value for their companies. First, they lack a clear understanding of the goals for the key performance indicators at the outset of the campaign. Second, there is no process for consistently evaluating progress, and so campaigns lack sufficient focus and consistency. These mistakes can be seen in a recent study. A marketing consultancy agency, CMG Partners, from Durham, North Carolina, conducted a study of 400 top business executives. The study found that only a quarter thought their marketing was effective. All of this goes to underline the importance of setting communication goals at the start of the process. And what's critical is to ensure that these goals are commercial, actionable, and measurable. One of the key foundations of the brand media strategy is setting communications goals that are based on outcomes and not outputs. Outputs are known as the amount of something produced by a person or organization. They include reach, frequency, impressions, gross rating points, and cost per response, or everyday media metrics. Although they are easy to measure, this makes them largely overused, especially when justifying recommendations. We want to look beyond these small portions of a plan and focus on outcomes, or the way something turns out. The ending results of a campaign are composed of much more than just numbers. They include the perception and influence you have on your audience, as well as their feelings toward your brand for the long term. Looking through a small scope of single numbers will paralyze the possibility of long-term effectiveness.
Developing communication goals consists of 4 steps. First, you need to break down the business goals into specifics. Second, identify how and where media can help. Third, quantify what success will look like. And last, prioritize and socialize the goals. For breaking down business goals into specifics, first ask yourself, where will most of the business growth come from? Clients should tell you their goals, and if they don't, you might have to do some research. For the second step, use the stages of the consumer pathway to identify how and where media can help. For the first stage, building awareness might mean launching a product, communicating a benefit, or telling of an event or offer. You can use effective frequency levels to measure the number of times a person is exposed to an advertising message before responding. Next, involvement might mean increasing engagement before purchase. For example, when McDonald's was introducing its McCafes, its challenge was to make customers think of them as a place to get lattes over Starbucks. Next, active consideration might mean sifting up the order of consideration by facilitating favorable comparison. For example, Lexus greatly increased their ROI when they realized their conversion of test drivers to sales was much higher than BMW, Mercedes-Benz, or Audi. They use this data to completely change their advertising. Next, purchase means converting intent into action at the point of purchase. Procter & Gamble moved from awareness driving to reminder advertising to accomplish this. Next, consumption and relationship building greatly enhances the consumer experience. For example, Coors Light cold-activated beer cans have mountains on the packaging that turn blue when the cans reach 44 degrees Fahrenheit. This makes the consumer experience more fun and memorable. Finally, advocacy might mean increasing word-of-mouth recommendation. For example, President Obama got his advocates to persuade undecided voters through buzz. The way to start the communications planning process is to ask a very basic yet the most important question, why advertise? Since cutting advertising can improve a company's profitability and marketing budgets range from 2 to 20% of a company's expenses, we must be able to explain its value before developing a plan. Sergio Zyman, the former Coca-Cola Chief Marketing Officer, defined marketing success as selling more stuff to more people, more often, for more money, more efficiently. Marketing needs to attract new customers to the brand, and advertising can help by opening new markets, promoting new products, and increasing the rate of trial. Also, advertising persuades people to buy more often and has alternatives that can help companies sell more. For example, price cuts and promotions. Advertising also offers the ability to talk to a larger audience cost effectively. After figuring out the why, it is then necessary to translate your business goals into communication goals. Communication goals involve understanding how the communications will drive business goals. The role of the communications planner is to translate the business goals into something that steers media, creative, PR, and digital specialist teams as they perform their communications tasks. Effective communications goals have two key qualities. They have a direct line of sight between the communications and business outcomes, meaning we need to be able to explain in simple terms how the communications is going to directly translate to the business goal. And they inspire ideas and creative ways to meet the goal. While planning a Denny's advertising campaign, the CEO of Denny's said that getting a lapsed customer to return would increase sales more than getting an existing customer to make a repeat visit. So they came up with their communication goal, to get people to come back to Denny's one more time. That goal then got the agency to think about how the people reevaluate the brand. The goal generated ideas that affected guest counts, like a free Grand Slam breakfast advertised during the Super Bowl, and the use of music artists that made going to Denny's for a late night more attractive.
Now we want to know what success looks like. First, figure out where your client stands. We will start with overall sales and market share. Your CEO and CMO will be hugely interested in these because their bonus probably depends on it. Now we will drill down to the defined communication goals to establish KPIs. Measures for awareness, brand equity, or active consideration will likely already exist. But how do we quantify the goal? The hard part is figuring out the increase a client expects according to KPIs. This is why the goal is critical. Benchmarks tell you if budget is sufficient or if objectives are achievable. But if these benchmarks don't exist, you'll have to make estimates based on past experience. This is true for most campaigns. Finally, how do we prioritize and socialize these goals? You first need to figure out how many goals you should have. Trying to do too much with too little is a recipe for disaster. A single goal is best, because too many creates a lack of clarity and accountability, and your primary goal should be tracked across all efforts. You also want to create measurable objectives. But if it's all said and done and you can't have just one goal, rank in order of importance. When branding, your goal should be to come up with phrases to describe the goal that's both memorable and inspirational. For example, Walmart's goal was to help deliver true value to its customers. And its winning campaign slogan was give people ideas to save money.